Hey guys, welcome to another video from the Parrot Bros. Now, as you can see, I have lowered the Roadster. Now, I did start filming this and then it turned into a bit of a 2-day ordeal. So we'll go through the fitting, but I won't actually show you the fitting, and I'll tell you why straight after the intro. So lowering a TT shouldn't be that hard a job. Yes, it's fiddly because the front shocks seem far too long and hard to get out. The rear springs can be an absolute pain to get free because they're so large if you don't have specific garage tools, which most of us don't realistically. But that doesn't include other things like broken bolts. Now, this bolt is the pinch bolt that goes in the front suspension. I'll show you in a bit. And unfortunately for me, it decided to snap. Now, as you can see, there is, let me get out the camera and it might be able to focus on it better. That's meant to be attached there. So what I always usually start to do is clean off the ends of the threads with a wire brush. So you just brush the end of the thread so that when you're winding the nut off, there's the least amount of resistance possible. I also then get a penetrating spray and spray every nut, bolt and joint. Now, the issue with the front suspension, I can show you, because I have one that I prepared earlier. Okay, so this is the front hub suspension. Now the shock absorber sits into this section here. Fine, not a problem. There's a specialist tool which I'll show you in a minute on how to, you put it in here and you actually spread that out and it just literally lifts out rather than having to beat it with a hammer 100 times. And usually not an issue. There's a nut and a bolt. The bolt goes through here like so. And what you would usually do, what I usually do, is hold a bar on the bolt and then undo the nut slightly and then usually try and tap it back. Now, what tends to happen is over time, water gets into this little crack here where you spread it out. So water gets into that gap there. And, oh, there you go, you see the gap better. So water gets into there and it makes the bolt, which you can just about see on this, hopefully, is the bolt is slightly smaller in the middle. Now, what happens is the bolt tends to get swollen and rusty. I'm trying to stay in the dry because it's raining. The bolt tends to get rusty and swells in the centre, which then means it doesn't want to come out. Now, I thought that I'd cracked this, and I'm winding it out, and I thought, oh, that's all right, I've got half a turn, fine. Went round, done all the other bolts, and then just went ping, and the head went onto the floor. And that's where it all started. So at this point, I'm only probably half an hour in, happy, got all my tools. I'm down the garage, which means I have no power, just some power tools, some battery tools, which, while being fine, is not ideal. I'm outside on the floor. It was about to rain, so I was kind of trying to sort of get it bit done by bit. And then this happened. Now, in this situation, you're very limited on what you're going to do. Now, I have a spare hub, and that was kind of my last-ditch attempt at fixing it. But the issue with that is, and I didn't realise this till afterwards, is because obviously you have more than one TT, you may have more than one problem, is this is a bolt type, which means it has a bolt that goes into the drive shaft. The one on the Roadster, of course, is the nut type, which has a nut that goes onto the drive shaft. So it means that one, without changing the bearing, is no good. I don't have a press here, so that's not going to happen. So, bolt that's broken. There's a few ways of attacking this. One was to try and hit it on the broken part outwards. Access isn't great, and it didn't work. Shocking it helped, I think, but what I ended up doing in the end was spraying it, penetrating, giving it a whack, trying to spread it to then try and move the bolt, but that only moved the side that wanted to move. In the end, I managed to keep doing up and undoing the nut, which then pulled through. Does it stop raining? Just about. It then pulled through the broken bolt. It took probably about 2 hours, start to finish, to get this little sod out. And then I was ready to carry on with the rest. But that was not the end of the ordeal, of course. It's a TT. What else are you meant to do? So on the back, and I'll show you once it stops raining, we get it jacked up. But on the back, there's, this is on the Quattro versions, the spring sits in an arm. So this is, imagine this is the car, very good demonstration. And this is the arm, and then the spring goes in the middle. fine. Normally you have to stand on the wheel a little bit just to get it to open up enough to allow you to lift the standard spring out. I managed to do that with a little bit of swearing. Also that metal dowel tool that comes in handy for taking your wheels off, the one you wind into your wheel bolt thread, that's good for standing on. Little tip, don't stand on the plastic one that's supplied with the car. And you get the spring out, which is fine. The issue is the spring sits on mounts, top and bottom. Now the top one is a nipple that's mounted into the body of the car, so that one's fine. The bottom one is a rubber nipple that's mounted into a plate, which has a metal sort of 10mm thread that drops into the lower arm. And of course the nipple fell off, which then means the spring could just fall out on its own, which is a problem. And then I couldn't get the plate out, so the plate wouldn't lift out because that 10mm dowel that went into the arm was seized. So then it became a case of grinding the plate off, which took half an hour, and then I had to cut it flat, and then I had to try, because obviously remember the gap isn't that big, it's only probably, I don't know, 9 inches. I had to try and get a drill and drill bits in there to then re-drill the hole back to the 10mm to put a new plate on. Yeah, which was it was fun. I mean, it took I would say 3 hours on a good day, all bolts come out, to swap the suspension over on this. It took me 10, which I was readily not prepared for, and then for 3 days afterwards my body hurt like I'd been playing rugby, because you're trying to contort yourself underneath one of these on the floor is not fun, but it does look good for it. I'll just stand out the way we can all stand back and admire it. I may need to play with the setup a little bit because I'm not 100% sure it's level, but it doesn't help it's on a slant here, so ignore that, but you get the idea. So what I did, and what I'm sure everyone does, is put it to the lowest setting and then I came up a little bit. On the back, because I know from doing research that on the back it doesn't actually sit horrendously low, so I only went up 3 turns on the adjusters, mainly because so they didn't seize. I put some anti-seize on them, and I've also got something to show you which will definitely protect the front coilovers for the future. And then on the front I went up 5 threads, so about 10mm off the bottom. But that is it actually drives really nice because it's got 17s and it has these lovely big 45 profile tyres. It's actually really, really comfortable. It doesn't really bounce too much either, which is mad. So it's actually quite good stance-wise. Now, like I said, I've got something to show you which will protect your coilovers going forward. Now, you should always put some sort of grease or anti-seize on the threads, because at the end of the day, when you come to adjust them, say you want to make it higher, lower, you're going on a road trip, you want to make it a little bit higher, or you want to take it lower, whatever, they'll be seized and they're an absolute swine to get undone. And you don't want them to go rusty. You spent a lot of money on them. You want to keep them nice. Now, how do you do that, I hear you ask? Well, there's a company called Coilover Covers who have kindly, when I asked them and I told them what I was doing, have sent me some. Now, these beauties are Velcro. I've got one open. I went for camo because, well, you can't see it anyway, but the black ones will get brown anyway in the future, so kind of pointless. And I thought the camo ones would look quite cool. And what they've got is they've got an elastic at both ends, and they have a Velcro which is really strong. I'm talking really strong down the side. So what you do is you basically just wrap these around the coilover, and they're elasticated at the top and the bottom, and then you do the Velcro up. And what that does is it stops all of the crap getting onto your coilovers. So it saves the springs, it saves the thread, and it just keeps them out of harm's way. I mean, they're still going to do the job. Obviously, this being material will allow for movement, no problem. It's not restricting the movement or anything like that because it sits on the outside. And these are a brilliant touch. Now, back in the day, when I first started driving, these didn't exist, but then neither did coilovers. And I remember seeing a post a while back, and I thought, when I fit coilovers, I will definitely fit these, because I've seen people that have taken them off after a year, 2 years, and they still look amazing. So I thought, really important, we'll get some coilover covers and we'll fit them today, and I'll show you how they go on. Should we take a wheel off? I hope it doesn't start raining again. Okay, so now we'll move on to fitting them. Now it is raining, I'm just going to push through. So this is what they look like fitted. Literally very easy to fit. I'm talking just wrap it round and then do that up. I mean, you can, if you want, just to make it look nicer. Put that round the back. It doesn't really matter. But what a job they do. I mean, look at that, look. So what I'm saying is take it back off a minute to show you. So there's your threads, all nice and clean. These are used, I took these off of, if you remember the blue one with the single exit odd exhaust. Yeah, that's what these come off. They've only done about 1,000 miles. But that just keeps them out the elements. And it's because they're stretchy, it's not ideal with one hand, but believe me, they go on easy as, and they cover it. And like I said, they're flexible, and it just does the job exactly what you want. I mean, you're spending 3, 4, 5, 6, £1,000 on coilovers. You're going to want them to last. I'm just trying to get out of the rain now because it is minging. But yeah, you're going to want them to last as best they can. You're not going to want to keep shelling out. You're not going to want to come to adjust them and then they're seized and whatever. And they are just the job. Coilover covers have also given us a discount code, so check that out in the description as well. Top jobs for them. I've also got a couple of sets to give away, which was kind of them. They also said, look, we'll send you a couple of sets, see which colour you like, give the rest away. So top job for that. Head over to our Facebook and Instagram and we'll do a giveaway with those. But yeah, that is fitting the coilovers. I mean, unfortunately the weather's not very good. Bryns does have a video showing full removal and refitting of suspension. I'll put that down in the description if you want to check that out. Unfortunately, like I said, I couldn't do it on this car. I will do it on another car, as I know you guys love seeing my videos. But for, like I said, for the start, they're the tools you need. You don't really need that much. It's just a case of the actual process. Bryns done a great video of doing it. So check that out. Like I said, I put the link down in the description. But yeah, that is the Roadster lowered and those covers, which will definitely save you in the future. So nice one, coilover covers for those. But until the next one, guys, bye for now.